Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Random Comments. I don't actually know the name of this series. I'm just CERJ Media Comments, Random Comments, whatever the case may be. Today, we're going to be talking about whether or not it's pointless to raid streamers, with 0 viewers. So obviously, if you don't know, raid is the mechanic on Twitch where you basically send over all of your viewers to a specific streamer to increase engagement on that person's stream. It's usually done as like a sign of good faith to say, hey, I think this person is entertaining. You should watch them, even though my stream has ended. The argument that DarkViperAU is making in this specific comment is that, or in this specific video, is that it is pointless to raid streamers, and his main reasons for that is nobody's gonna watch them, right? If they have 0 viewers, his argument is if they have 0 viewers, they have 0 viewers for a reason. They aren't worth watching. That is basically what he says. Now, technically, he says, there's no correlation between there's no correlation. There's only a correlation between views and quality. As in, there are some streamers with 0 viewers that are entertaining, that actually do make quality content. But his argument is that more than likely, if you're going to raid someone, you're going to want to raid someone with a decent amount of views, because if they have 0 views, then that must mean that their content is not good. And obviously, it's kind of a really weird. And obviously, I'm paraphrasing what he says is a bit. I have the video title right here if you want to look at it. We're not going to watch the video because that's not the point of this. The argument that was made was between whether or not you can have whether or not it does actually make sense to raid streamers with 0 views. His argument again is that it's not going to be quality, and people in the comments argued, yeah, there is going to be some quality stuff actually. So let's take a look at this comment by Sparkist. I don't know how long this was from, but Matt was still doing classic percent. I'd assume his views changed from this point in time, but in all honesty, everyone has got to start somewhere. Streamers or content creators with very few or 0 viewers don't necessarily mean bad content, as they're not discovered by others, or simply the algorithm. Even a gem is hidden behind plain rocks for you to discover. Just because nobody has discovered them yet doesn't mean they aren't worth any value. Mato also saying that quality and popularity correlates, even though I don't disagree with this, but to some degree this could be completely refuted. React content is the perfect example. None of the React content is quality, yet streamers like Asmongold, XQC, and more are flooded with viewers. This is an interesting argument that we'll get to later. Made by Eltron. Eltron? However you pronounce it. If you're watching this video, either of you commenters, let me know how you pronounce your name. I'm assuming Sparkus and Eltron. I honestly think content with very few to none viewers could be good content, albeit debatable. Quality and log are what matters most. Better to check out the actual quality of the stream instead of just simply looking at the viewers. And when he says viewers, he means views, obviously, or the amount of viewers. Don't actually like physically go and look at the viewers themselves. That doesn't make any sense. And I think this is a fair enough argument. I disagree with parts of it. And I will make comments about that. And somebody actually else will beat me to it. Eltron will beat me to it. But so we have Eltron with his first reply. I'll reply to this paragraph by paragraph. Indeed, content creators with 0 exposure, views, impressions doesn't mean bad content. However, it means it is most likely bad content. We're going to stop right there because this is a very interesting way of. This is already a somewhat contentious point, right? Because the ultimatum was set by. You know what? Actually, we're not going to stop right there because I addressed that in my reply. We'll just keep going. That is the exact point of this video. What people like you, also the guy who made the comment in this video, do is to pick exceptional cases in which it goes against the general. This doesn't change the general, the exception proves the rule. In your third paragraph, you are contradicting yourself. First off, you say that you don't completely disagree with the fact that quality and popularity correlates, but then you continue to allege that this can be completely refuted. Then you give another exceptional case, which I will be touching upon later in this paragraph, that proves the rule the general. That proves the rule, the general. That he worded that weird. Now, I don't know much about you, but I wouldn't refute something with just a single example. Now, let me get to the actual part, which I think you misinterpret. The word bad in bad content has two meanings. In this video, it is about low quality content. In the series Matto made, which is about React content, it means ethically bad and low effort content. React content is high on quality, but unethical and effortless. Right, which makes sense, right? Because if the videos that the reactors were watching were terrible videos, then nobody would be watching the stream, right? The reactors are watching good videos. The reactors are watching content that is actually quality. It's just, and technically, because of that, their stream is quality, right? It's just that, like you said, it's immoral or it's unethical and unethical and effortless. That does not necessarily mean that the quality of the content as a whole is bad. Anyways, though the reactor is stealing the quality from the video they are reacting to, which is the part where it becomes unethical, there is also a case to be made of it being not productive and bad for both the platform and the people watching it. Also, the reactee sometimes with again, also the reactee. Oh, it is bad for both the platform and the people watching it and the reactee. Again, exceptional cases. I agree with you. Content with very few or very few to non-streamers, very few to zero streamers could be good content. The chances are slim though, and again, as you mentioned, luck is also a great part of the deal. But I don't think it's the way you think it is. Instead of explaining what kind of luck this is, I'll assume you already know it, and I won't be explaining it. However, you can tell me what you think of it, and then I'll see if it is different than what it should be. Then I'll explain it. Also, for the last sentence, you will almost never go and check the content of people with 0 views. Instead, you'll see the view count and say, must be bad content, which is an assumption, of course, but an assumption based off of logic, probability, and intuition. There's a lot to digest in this one. And before I even continue, let's go on to what his reply was. Okay. Same thing I'll do here. Reply, paragraph by paragraph. Content creators with 0 exposure could most likely be making bad content, which was not the point of the video. This video is Matt giving his views on rating content with 0 views is completely useless. People like me pick exceptional cases because it happens frequently. In fact, I will use your point from the next paragraph to say I wholeheartedly disagree. You call React content high quality but unethical. I'm assuming the quality comes from the reactees, even though there are a vast majority, the reactees? Yeah, reactees, even though there are a majority of people with a high amount of view count. It can also be said for the videos with low view count, which isn't exceptional, as the videos that the reactors watch proves it. So basically, the point is that when it comes to React content, with this regard, there are going to be cases to be made that, in his quality here. You know what? Let me look at it again to make sure I fully understand. Right. So I'm assuming the quality comes from the reactees, even though there are a majority of videos with a high amount of view count. It can also be said for the views with low view count, which isn't exceptional, as the videos that reactors watch proves it. As the video that reactors watch proves it. I mean, I guess his argument is that you can have low view videos that the reactors will watch too, that still might be quality. And then it'll become a high view? I don't know, we'll see. In the next paragraph, I'm not contradicting myself. What I simply stated was, I agree, some examples can either prove this point correct or prove it wrong. It is a simple matter of opinion and examples. I was simply only stating React content, as I assume that this example would suffice, but proven not exactly. With what you provided me as low quality or bad content, there are a lot more examples with a lot more views than they deserve, aka Mr. Incredible becoming uncanny videos. All they simply do is download the format, put some screenshot of downloaded content, and call it a day. Or Cernando videos. As low quality as those are, videos I listed still get heaps of views, and Cernando is very infamously popular, and I'm very certain there are a lot more, which in this case isn't very exceptional. And that is a very valid point. There are a lot of videos that are very low quality that still happen to get a lot of views. Well, low quality retrospectively or relatively, right? Like, I mean, honestly, the Chaos series as a whole, the Twitch chat controls chaos videos are low quality. They're low effort. It's literally just him uploading him playing chaos for 3 hours or so, usually 2 hours. Um, Very little effort actually goes into making those videos. At least the back when they used to completely unedit them. Now he'll go in and like especially with Chaos Randomizer, it's kind of a whole different case because he has to go in and censor stuff, and he has to like or he doesn't have to, but he chooses to add in the Jesus grief or the grief for Jesus music. God, our God is an awesome God. Blah blah blah. Which is more of like a recent trend thing, right? But if you go back to like regular, um, with the not chaos, sorry, with the regular chaos series, Twitch chat controls chaos, or with the Rainbow Miser series, there was very little effort put into those videos. It was just him playing the game for a couple hours. Doesn't require the most amount of effort, and even he admits this, but it still gets a lot of views, which is why he makes it. There are arguably a larger proportion of videos that Dark Viper has made that he put a lot more effort into and are actually better in quality that don't get as much views just because of the topic at hand. For example, his Saints Row video, his Fortnite videos, they're all actually pretty good. I would argue as a whole they're better than his Chaos videos, and overall they provide they a lot more effort was put into them, and they provide more content and quality than his Chaos videos. But his Chaos videos usually get more views because it's more popular, and this is something I talk about in my comment. And I think this is a very fair point because quality you can't it's kind of dangerous to correlate quality with content because there are various amounts of counterexamples. And obviously, you can look at general trends, and you could say, as a general trend, the more views a video has, the higher quality is. And I'm not going to say that isn't true, but what I am saying is that it's there is so many counterexamples that it's hard to say that as a definitive. You can't say in all earnesty, and you can't say that earnestly without also acknowledging how many counterexamples there are to that, because there are a plethora of videos that are low view count and high quality, like Ascender and Darkspace. Ascender and Darkspace make plenty of videos, and to be fair, some of them get really high in the views. Or how about Freshy Canal? Freshy Canal puts an incredible amount of effort into his videos, but not all of them get the same amount of views. Let's just take a look at just a couple of examples. If we go to Freshy Canal and take a look at his view counts, right? This video was incredible, but only has 100,000 views. This one was mediocre, and plus it's half of it is an advertisement. So, or sorry, it is a what's it called? A sponsorship. So it makes sense that this doesn't have the most amount of views because people aren't going to be rewatching it as much because half of the video is just sponsorship. Sure, fine. This one was. It makes sense that it doesn't have a lot of views because it's a bonus battle, and bonus battles usually don't get the same amount of views. This one has a decent amount of views, right? But this one, 1.1 million views. That's insane. 1.1 million views. Um, and then there's a lot of other really high quality ones. I mean, a lot of them, to be fair, are bonus wraps. Like looking back at it, I can see like this one right here deserves a lot of views. 131 views, 131K views is criminal because you're talking about Donkey Kong, who is a icon of gaming, and Winston, who is a relatively well-known and popular character that a lot of people like, and is more relevant to the modern day, because Winston, I would argue, is more popular in the modern day than Donkey Kong, but that would be a hard thing to convince people of. But only 131,000 views. Like, that's an insanely low view count for how good that video is. But stuff that's like more topical and relevant usually gets more views. Like you got Yuri versus Toko Fukuwa. Well, I guess Yuri is not really super relevant. Um, but I guess it's more relevant than Winston, technically. Like more people care about Yuri from DDLC and Toko from Danganronpa, I think is where she's from, than people do care about Winston, I guess. I don't know. But the point is that I'm getting off track, man. I gotta start to layer myself down. The point is that there's a lot of videos that are really high quality that don't get as much views because of circumstantial stuff. And I mean, even the bonus battles, they still have a lot of effort put into them, just not the same level of effort as, the main videos. Anyways, feel free to correct what I stated as you, please. Good to have a solo conversation like this in a while. Okay, cool. So, this was my major comment. This was the reason why I made this video, is to have this giant conversation, right? We're over here, we had this conversation. Hopefully you can go back and remember what was talked about. So, now, this is where I come in. I think the problem is the title and the first few seconds of the video. Matt is saying in its entirety, it is pointless to rate a streamer with 0 viewers, which immediately implies that there is absolutely no content that has 0 views that is worth watching, which is blatantly untrue. What Matt means, of course, is that you're better off rating a streamer with more views, as they are more likely to produce content that is worth watching. And I agree with this, and then that makes sense. But the problem is that Matt doesn't say this. Matt doesn't say you are better off rating somebody who has more views. He says, at least at the beginning, in the title and then in the video, first few seconds of the video, it is pointless. That is an ultimatum. He does not say you are better off not rating them. He says, as a totality, it is pointless. Obviously, it's up to interpretation on whether or not you're going to try and how much you're going to try and decipher what he really means by that. Like, does he really, really mean pointless, or does he mean most of the time? He does clarify later, but I can understand why people would be confused and not understand what he truly thinks. Anyways, keep this in mind at 38 seconds in, when told to base it off of the content and not the viewers, Matt doesn't agree to this sentiment, instead saying higher viewers correlate to better content, which is fair, but with all the context and with the title and his earlier comments, basically he's implying that no content with 0 views is good content, because instead of saying, yeah, I can see where you're coming from, he's like, no, you are, if the video has no views, then it's not worth watching, basically. I'm paraphrasing, but at the same time, that is the interpretation that you get from it. But I can still totally, later in the video, he does say that there is 0 view content that is good. But I can totally see why people wouldn't take him seriously on that. Truth be told, I don't necessarily take him seriously on that. I think he kind of backpedaled a little bit because he realized how much of an ultimatum his original statement was. If he truly believed this, why wouldn't he say, in some scenarios, it would make sense to raid streamers with 0 views if you can be reasonably confident that the quality is acceptable? But he doesn't, because his argument is, if the quality was good, it would get views. Which is an interesting argument, to say the least. I think because the thing with streaming is that you can really only be watching one person with all of your attention at a time, right? So it's like, you might go to your favorite streamer, and then if they're not streaming, you'll go to your second favorite streamer. If they're not streaming, you go to your third, and you'll just go down a hierarchy list, right? And if you're watching your second favorite streamer, and then a better streamer comes on, you might stop watching that second favorite streamer. Kind of stuff, right? So I think that there is an element of, like, people who have 0 views, it's not just because they don't have 0 views just because their quality is bad. Their quality just might not be the very best, and thus the competition is fierce. And thus people might want to spend their time watching more high quality stuff. Potentially, right? Alright, anyways, honestly, I think we're all on the same page. We all agree that good content can sometimes not get views, and that bad content can still sometimes get views. We can also agree that the majority of content that has no views for a reason, and the same with content that has a significant amount. The contentious part is all the stuff in the middle. I think the important part that many might disagree on is the degree to which the algorithm promotes underrated quality content, or good content. There is a large amount of videos that have hours and hours put into them that arguably deserve way more views than they have. My favorite example is niche content. Content made for and about a very specific niche that doesn't apply to a wider market but is nonetheless still good. And the argument is that if the if the algorithm was appealing to that content, then a wider selection of people would be watching it, right? Because, like, for example, you're not going to be looking up. The 99% of people aren't going to be looking up videos about, let's say, Need for Speed Most Wanted, right? They're not going to be looking up Need for Speed Most Wanted videos. They might like the game, they might be interested in watching videos about the game, but they're not going to go out of their way to look up those specific videos because they're niche. Because again, it's kind of redundant, but there's a lot of people who, if they were presented with that video, would watch that video. A perfect example being me watching Reykjavik's video. Reykjavik, whatever, however you pronounce it. Lucas's video. Anyways, the argument can be made that if the algorithm were to be pushing content that were stuck in that niche, that content would get a substantial amount of views. Is that same content made before it becomes popular any better than when it does become popular? Obviously not. It's the same quality of content. A video with 0 views is just as good as that same video with 1 million views. Just because it reaches 1 million views doesn't make the video any better. It's still the same quality. But at the same time, we're trying to make this relationship between amount of views and quality. So it seems kind of disingenuous, right? If that same video that had 1 million views was just as good before it had 1 million views, did the video get better? No. So that's already kind of a counterexample to the whole idea that if the video didn't have views, then it's bad content. Um, anyways, um, does that video become more popular or become better after it becomes more popular? Obviously not, which kind of breaks the narrative that only good content gets views. Is Dark Viper AU's best videos the videos that have the most amount of views? I would say definitely not. That's not to say it wasn't put well together, but he has produced much higher quality content than his most popular content. It just doesn't appeal to as many people. I'm not saying there isn't a correlation between quality and views, but it's not strong enough of a correlation to say something as decisive as it's pointless to rate a streamer with 0 views. So yeah, I think all of that makes sense. Obviously, I'm kind of splitting hairs. There's a lot of flaws in my original argument here because I am comparing Twitch to YouTube. You could make the argument that videos with YouTube videos, right? With YouTube videos, the view number only goes up. It's not like the view number is going to go down. With Twitch, the view number can go down. So, for example, a 1 million view YouTube video is going to be substantially. It could be up or down whether or not those views are from yesterday or from 6 years ago. You know, it's and whether how old those videos are may or may not have an influence on whether or not it'll get pushed by the algorithm, especially depending on if the content is only within a specific niche that isn't relevant to today, right? So like you might make a video about uh, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and when the video came out, it's super popular because the video gets a lot of views because it appeals to that niche, or not that niche, sorry, it's not really niche at the time, but it appeals to a very specific demographic, and that is people looking at Call of Duty content. Um, but that content falls out of the algorithm because people aren't looking up stuff about Advanced Warfare anymore. Is the video now bad? No. Is the algorithm pushing that content? No. And the reason why is because you're most likely not going to be looking that content up. Um, but the video is still good, nonetheless. But that's beyond the point. What we're talking about here is Twitch, right? Twitch, if you have 500,000 views, that means you have 500,000 views right now, which means that your stream must be worth watching. Because if your stream was boring and it wasn't worth watching, then you wouldn't have any views. And I think that's the decisive part, right? Is that you can have a very low quality, low effort, terrible video on YouTube that gets a lot of views. But on Twitch, you can't have a very low quality, very low effort stream that gets a lot of views. Because if the stream was low quality, low effort, and boring to watch, nobody would be watching it. Nobody is watching streams. Well, maybe if it's particularly notable, right? Like if Mr. Beast did a video that was like, I streamed myself sleeping for 24 hours or something like that, right? It might get a substantial amount of views just because it's so weird and wacky and whatnot, right? But I doubt he would be able to get away with that more than once. because the gimmick wears off very fast. Once you tune into the stream, see him sleeping, and realize there's nothing for you to do there, you would click off. Why would you continue to watch the stream? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't know. Twitch and YouTube, they have very different markets. They have very different algorithms, and they need to because it's some things that appeal to viewers on Twitch don't appeal to the same viewers on YouTube. So, yeah, there's a lot of plot holes in my argument, but I think the general sentiment makes a lot of sense. Um, when you're talking about something like rating a streamer with zero views, I think what I said though makes a lot of sense, right? If the viewer has zero, if the streamer has zero views, and or maybe like one or two viewers, then and you know that content is good, then it makes perfect sense for you to uh what's it called, to host them or to rate them, especially if you know them personally, right? Again, assuming that their content is actually good. If their content isn't good, it makes sense. It wouldn't make sense for you to rate them. But there is, but the argument can be made. Oh, if the content was good, then why didn't he have zero views? And again, that goes to the whole market thing. If you are a better streamer than that person who has zero viewers, and your content is more enjoyable, then it makes sense that the people would be watching your content and not that person's content. Let me give a great, perfect example. Let's say, what was her name? Ri-Fi and Nicholas, or what's his name? Pengu, were streaming at the same time. Their content and the quality of their content is about roughly the same because they're playing together in the same game. So they're gonna have approximately the same experiences. Who you choose to watch depends on who you want to interact with as a person. Do you want to interact with uh, Pengu? If you want to interact with Pengu, you would go into his chat and type. If you want to interact with Wi-Fi, you would go into her chat and type stuff. That is the reason why. But is the quality necessarily better or worse? Does Ri-Fi having less viewers, because she usually has less viewers because she's less popular, because Pingu is immensely influential in, or at least he was at the time, in Rainbow Six, whereas Ri-Fi is kind of just a nice streamer that people like to watch sometimes. But does that make Ri-Fi's content less good? Not necessarily. Anyways, and there's also an argument to be made that if she was only getting one or two views, which I doubt that would ever happen, but if she was only getting one or two views, and Pengu was rating Ri-Fi, then people would actually watch that content because it's about roughly the same quality. I guess it depends on how much you do or don't like her, but still. Uh, oof, man, 25 minutes into this, huh? Um. Anyways, moving on to Sparkus, or sorry, Elthwan's comment about this. I honestly don't think these exceptional cases happen as frequently or frequently as much as you mentioned, whatever. But they do stand out a lot because of how exceptional they are. For each example you give, there are normal quality content tenfolds. Uh, Now I won't argue with the statement rating content creators with zero views are completely useless. But I still think that in this particular video, Mato definitely talks about the most probable case. But I'll agree the title is misleading. With another example given by you begs the question about what exactly is low quality content. For instance, I also don't watch many Mr. Incredible meme videos because I don't find them enjoyable, but I don't think the ones that have lots of views aren't low on quality. Yes, as you said, they are simply you download the format, put some images, and call it a day. But they're also the thought process. Just because a meme is relatively low effort doesn't mean that the memes aren't worth watching, basically. And I would agree with that, right? You make memes, and memes can be literally just something as simple as a line of text above a GIF. Very low effort, but it can still be worth looking at that GIF because it can be humorous, it can be funny, it provides new context to already existing memes. Memes don't really work very well if they only apply to one specific thing. If you can take that meme and apply it to something that it expands outside of its norm, that's when you make a good meme, right? Um, Anyways, um, Yes, you said there are also blah, 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 blah. I think one of the most important thing about content creators is the creation part. React content, for example, doesn't create but stills, but that's off topic now, I guess. Also, there is the case of trends. Sometimes some stuff make it really popular, and people who hop on these hype trains do get lots of views, but after the trend dies, which happens fast on the internet, these channels, videos don't hold up. They either have to keep creating stuff or just give up. I mean, if it was that easy, we could all just do it in theory, right? I do agree with you, though. There are many, many, many low quality content out there. I hate a lot of the stuff, but I still think, like I said in my first paragraph, that these exceptional cases are way overhyped by normal quality content. There's just lots of these, like way more. If you don't think the same way, we can agree to disagree. We're both viewers of Matto. I accept this to be a civil conversation. We're able to think analytically and use our brains. And then his comment to me, or his reply to me, was, so this comment after the one I just read, I agree with you. The problem mostly lies in the first paragraph you wrote. It's the way Matto puts his thoughts into words. Sometimes it can cause these types of misunderstandings. I think, like you said, everybody's on the same page here. Probably even Matto. Yeah, and I agree. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are about let me know what your thoughts about the content, the algorithm, the Twitch algorithm, the YouTube algorithm, and the process of making content and what counts as quality and low quality, stuff like that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Take care, guys. Peace out.